Well, hello again, Internet. Bullnose Zach here, and I got a little project today that I'm trying to solve another issue with the 85 Ford Bronco. And this issue is one that I see, it's a common thing with the 351. I've had this problem before with the 351, is pinging. This thing pre-detonates terribly, especially ever since I got it tuned up a little bit. Got it running on all cylinders correctly. It likes to ping. And it's right at that point where you take off a little bit. You're not full throttle. It's not pinging there. It's when you let off a little bit, it starts pinging like crazy. And I've done everything I can with the timing. It's sitting at 10 degrees. I've tried it at 8 degrees. It still does it. I've tried it with vacuum advance at, the stock 16 degrees advance in vacuum. I've tried it without any advance, and it still seems to rear its head. And I've also tried to do the water trick where you heat the motor up and you pour a little bit of water down the carburetor and just sit there at like 2,000 RPM and let it just choke on it for a while to try to steam clean the cylinder heads. And still, it's just not good. The only way to get rid of it is to retard the timing a whole bunch, and then it runs like absolute garbage. So I'm thinking the fiend is a lean mixture. Now this carburetor that came on it is just a plain Jane Edelbrock 1406, I believe is what the model is on it. See here, yeah, 1406, probably just a 600 CFM, something or other. It's kind of garbage. I tried to rebuild it, and it needs to be replaced. It's wore out. There's a lot of the rods and stuff that are really loose in it and everything. So I have no idea what this thing's jetted at. I couldn't get the jets out without completely destroying them. So I'm thinking that might be my problem, is that it's just running way too lean, and when I let off a little bit, it really chokes on the fuel, and it's really hot, and it causes pre-detonation because there's just not enough fuel going to the cylinders. This thing isn't a high compression motor. It's kind of it's a little wore out, as you've seen in the previous videos. So here's what I'm going to try. I'm going to try to stick my Holley double pumper 750 that's off of the 460 that's in my 1980 F-150. And this is a mildly built 460. Built it about 16 years ago, maybe longer. It purrs like a kitten. It does have an issue with the heads, got a cracked head or something, so it's eating water. Also has a freeze plug out. So this thing hasn't been on the road for a while, but it does start right up and just run great. Of course, it's a 460. It's an 8.5 to 1, maybe a little bit higher compression, but nothing that's it's never pinged once. It also gets plenty of fuel with this double pumper. So I'm gonna throw this double pumper on this 351, give it all the gas that it absolutely needs, and see if it goes away. Now, this isn't gonna be the carburetor for this. This isn't the best carburetor. It's actually kind of a drag strip carburetor. It doesn't have a crossover tube in it. It sloshes out of the bowls really bad when you hit a bump. So it's not a great 4x-N carburetor, but it's gonna give it all the fuel that it needs to see if I can get rid of that pinging, see if that's the problem. So I'm gonna get this switched out and I'll let you guys know. All right, y'all, so I got the carburetor switched out, and I am happy to report that, as I suspected, it was 100% of the problem. It was just running way too lean. As soon as you let off the gas, it would starve for fuel, and that cylinder would already be so hot that it just started detonating. And I'm glad I finally figured it out, because I've done so much flipping research on forums, on everybody else having problems, and the same thing always happens. They have this exact same problem, and they talk about it on forums for forever, and then nothing, because they solve it and they don't tell anybody. And that's one of my pet peeves. So basically, I've got this thing. Sorry, I had to shift. I got this carburetor on there, not new. It's a 750 double pumper Holley. And basically, exactly where that spot was, where it didn't matter what temperature it was either. It would just start rattling like crazy. It sounded like the top end of the motor was going to fall apart. And it was that pinging. And that is 100% gone. Now the flip side is, this is way too big a carburetor for this motor. It is, and it's jetted too big. So it does choke on the fuel a little bit, especially until it's warmed up. If from idle you try to pop it and it just backfires because it floods the cylinders so quick. It just can't use that fuel fast enough, and the air, because it's just not as big of an air pump as the 460 is. But the other difference is this being a double pumper, it's got a lot better secondary, it's a mechanical secondary, and I tell you what, you can definitely hear the 4 barrels, even though it's not, you know, this is sitting on 35s and it's in a wore out 351, so it's not going to be neck snapping power, but you can definitely tell it's opening up a lot more than that old Edelbrock did. So I would call that a win. I do need to order a new carburetor. I'm not going to stick the old Edelbrock back on this thing because it's just not jetted right and it's having these problems. So I'm just going to rock this double pumper until I get a new Holley. I don't know which one I'm going to get, but I'll probably get a 650, get a jet kit for it so I can jet it right. But happy to report that that solved the issue with I haven't done anything with the timing yet. I could probably advance the timing, give it a little bit more of advance on it. You know, mess with the advanced canister on the distributor, and probably get a little bit more power out of it now that I'm not having this issue. But if you're having that issue, if it sounds like the top end of your motor is about ready to just fall apart when you let off the fuel, when you're going down the highway, when you let off the gas, then you know, it's pinging and it's just running way too lean. If you can jet up your carburetor, that should solve it. But in my case, I couldn't do that, so different carburetor it was. So anyways, hope this helps somebody. Thanks for hanging out with me. Talk to you later.